Aleta Sill could be rolling her name into the record book. This steel-eyed competitor is gunning for her 30th pro title, and that ties the record. To do it tonight, she has to climb a talent-laden stepladder. National Women's Bowling Association presents the St. Clair Classic. Welcome to Fairview Heights, Illinois, and the St. Clair Bowl. Hello, everyone. I'm Leandra Riley, and this is our fourth and final stop of the spring tour. It is our 10th event of 1998. And our previous 9 events, we have crowned 9 different champions. Maybe tonight we'll see a repeat winner. Joining me in this telecast, as she does every weekend, is Jan Schmidt. She holds the consecutive events record for the PWBA. Dating back since 1989, she has bowled in 187 events, and that's a real testament to your passion for the sport. But tonight there's a very different record on the line, and that's going to be Aleta Sill pursuing those titles.
She is. That record is 30 titles, and it's held by none other than Lisa Wagner. But perhaps more important to Aleta Sill right now than the titles is to be the first woman to reach $1 million. And she's well on her way. She's on the top of the ladder with over $934,000 in earnings. She's going to have a very tough climb to get to that 30th title, however, because she has the number 5 position, has to climb all the way up the ladder, and her first obstacle is a woman who's been on TV 6 of the 10 times this season, Gianotti-Block. And Leander, she's had the hot hand not only this season, but over the last 2 years. She's made 12 of the last 17 telecasts dating back to August of '97, but this year she's walked away winless with 4 second-place finishes. Oh, time to shake that bridesmaid's jinx. Our next 2 qualifiers are Tish Johnson and Kim Adler. Now, both of these women have made top 5s 4 times already in 1998. In fact, Tish Johnson's already won a title. She started things off with a win in Lubbock, Texas. And interesting that they both made it 4 times, and yet this is the first time they're facing each other this year on television. They both had an up and down year and in opposite weeks. Tish Johnson working with some different types of equipment and changing lane conditions. She's been a little inconsistent, and Kim Adler has worked with some different grips, and it's led to a little inconsistency in her game. But she's found something that works for her, and it's comfortable. This week, actually, it enabled her to shoot a 300. Wow, a 300 already here. Now, our top qualifier is our 3rd left-hander, Dede Davidson. Boy, and Dede's had a dry spell since her last win. It was 1993. This is her 17th show since that time, but she's all smiles tonight, and perhaps for the right reasons. Leandra, here's one for you. When was the last time Dede was the top seed? Probably the last time she won the U.S. Open in '93. You guessed it. Okay. All right, so it's Dede Davidson waiting in the wings, but the women who are ready to bowl right now are number 5 and number 4, and that would be Aleta Sill against Gianotti-Block. And there you see our competitors shaking hands. Aleta Sill is the number 5 seed. She is stepping up to bowl because Gianotti-Block said, I'm going to sit down and watch you start things off. Our television pair, 15 and 16 here at the St. Clair Bowl. It was Carol's choice, as you mentioned, and Aleta will now finish the match last. The pressure will be on Aleta if it comes down to the 10th frame. And we've had a lot of close matches this swing. Absolutely. Nothing's been decided until the very end. And Aleta starts things off leaving the 7. Good opening shot, and I better set this off right now. Corner pins were tough to carry this week for both players, both sides. They had to get the right angle or the right ball roll to get the corner pins to kick out. And you saw her average was a 214, not the highest average of our TV finalists, but certainly very, very respectable as she converts and marks in the opening frame here at the St. Clair Classic. And now you are looking at Gianotti-Block, her 6th television appearance, and as you mentioned at the top of the show, 4 times she has finished 2nd. And she leaves the corner pin, just as you said. It's been tough to do this week, and both these ladies are proving you right. Okay, and if you're at home, pay attention. We'll try and watch for some subtle adjustments and see if you can figure out what you can do at home to kick those corner pins out. Oftentimes, certain centers, because of the sideboards or the racks or the angles people are playing because of the condition, it'll make a difference in whether you'll carry or not. And like her opponent, she marks in her opening frame as she crosses over to number 15. Now, Carol Gianotti is married to Neil Block, but she herself is from the land down under. And she wants to say hello to Neil, but she'll see him soon, heading home to California for a little bit. That's her state's home. There you saw her average at 215, and again we see another sticky corner. And I think they'll take a few frames each game to figure out how they can kick those corners out. And hopefully they'll be able to. It'd be great to see some high scores here tonight. Scores are pretty high during the week by these players. Several players struggled, though. A little more conditioner this week. We bowled on a heavier oil pattern and a longer oil pattern than we've been bowling on.
And it's 2 spares for Carol Gianotti-Block in this opening round match of the St. Clair Classic. Aleta Sill, Hall of Famer, 1984 Player of the Year. She won her first professional title at age 19. This is her 19th year on the tour. Those corners, boy, did you notice that one?
Whew. Well, there's a lot of things you could do. A lot of players try different things. Many of them do just subtle changes with their hand position or their release. They'll try and hit it a little more or roll it a little more, get an earlier roll. They may move a little back, left, right. Many options to try and carry those corner pins out. And I'm sure they're trying all of them.
And she converts. So after leaving 2-7 standings, she marks both times.
Aleta gets a pretty quick push with the ball here. Pushes in her second step, 5-step approach. Look at that bend in her elbow. And she pulls the ball through. Good knee bend there. But that bend in her elbow has created some tendonitis problems for her. And it's something that she tried to get out of many years. And it caused a lot of problems in her career. She didn't bowl as well when she tried to get rid of it. And she finally said, forget it. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm bowling fine with it. But sometimes it causes her arm to drift away from her body. And it'll cause her to pull the shot.
And for the first time in this match, we have a strike. It comes in the 3rd frame of Aleta Sill's performance. And now it is time for Carol Gianotti-Block. She is enjoying her 11th year on the tour. She is from Morley, Perth, West Australia. In match play, 200 to 179. She defeated Aleta Sill. But she told us when we spoke with her that she was shocked to be here. She said the first day she really had nothing. Then she moved in a little bit and did well. So basically, she's just shocked to be here.
And she said she'll have a different attitude out here tonight. Kind of, hey, I have nothing to lose. Usually Carol is pretty upset when she doesn't win on TV, and I think she's going to have a much more carefree attitude today.
And she said this is the first time this year that she has come up from behind. She's always been on top and, kind of lost it or couldn't hold her own, but now she had to climb up from the bottom. And she said, this is a new thing for me. And she kind of liked it. She was smiling and very happy about that she was able to work her way up. And she converts, so it's 3 spares in a row for Carol Gianotti-Block.
Carol holds the ball chest high. She has a 5-step approach, and she moves. She's all feel. We've talked about it before. She gets about a shoulder-high backswing. Look at this quick release. She snaps through. Do you see her wrist cup as she snapped through that ball? She gets it off her hand quick and clean, and when she has that release, she's almost unbeatable.
That wrist snap is something else. It comes right up and almost tops her on the head. Now, this is the weakest shot we've seen her throw in this match.
Coming up high, cut that one a little short. Didn't extend it down the lane. She's leaving 3-6-10. She wants to take all 3 with the ball. Carol not changing balls. She flattens out the ball here to shoot her spare.
And gets 2 out of 3, so we have an open frame in the 4th for Carol Gianotti-Block as Aleta Sill sees a little ray of light. Don't go away. The St. Clair Classic is being brought to you by AMF Bowling Worldwide, the largest owners and operators of bowling centers in the world and one of the leading makers of bowling products. AMF always means fun. And we are back at the St. Clair Classic. I'm Leandra Riley along with Jan Schmidt. And as you can see, Aleta Sill has a 4-pin lead and is working on a strike. She is on lane 16. Now she's working on a double.
Well, it appears she's found the secret to carrying the 10 corner pins, 7 pins for her.
Now, here is our finalists by round. As you can see, Dede Davidson, 21 after the first round, and then moved up and stayed up.
Well, we talked about Carol Gianotti-Block, 35, 36, 18, and then jumped up. That's where she made her move in that second day. That's We were referring to that a little bit earlier, and what a move for Carol to come up the pack like that.
And she said that's unusual for her. Usually she's on top and staying put, but this time she climbed. And it's a turkey for Aleta Sill. And you don't get much emotion out of Aleta, but you saw her clap her hands together, and she's happy. She's satisfied.
The shot Aleta just made, she's going up about the 7th, 8th board, sending it just a little bit left. No problem carrying if she continues with that type of line.
And now we're back with Carol Gianotti-Block, who for the first time in this match has a strike, and that is in the 5th frame.
Well, if she wants to win this match, she's going to have to come from behind like she's done all week.
Yes. Now remember, Carol Gianotti was the number 4 qualifier. Aleta Sill was number 5. If Carol Gianotti's to hang on, you can see she's down by 35. It was that open frame in 4 that hurt her. But now she's got 2 in a row.
I thought it would just take a few frames, and maybe that 7 count was Carol's attempt to try to line up to carry the corner pin, the 10 pin. Aleta, meanwhile, definitely lined up.
You know, she's kind of funny about that tendonitis in her arm. She said, you know, right now I just deal with it. It isn't hurting me right now. It just kind of flares up and goes down, as tendonitis is wont to do. But she doesn't throw hard. She said that's not for her, and I suspect that tendonitis is the reason why, as we see once again, it is number 6 staying put in the corner.
Well, Aleta had tried to throw hard, and she's tried over the years to increase her ball speed, but she said, again, that didn't help her either. So now she's going to go home. She's going to work with some different equipment and try and find drilling patterns that help her to get the ball down the lane so she doesn't have to work so hard with speed.
Earlier she spoke with us. You know, with all of the titles that she has won, Jan asked her, what is the highlight of your career?
I think it's probably winning the Triple Crown for the 2nd time, because no male or female has ever done it, and I was the first, so it's an honor.
Is there anything that would top that for you?
Well, I think that's probably going to be the biggest thing, but I do want to reach the million first, so that's what I'm shooting for now.
Well, she's shooting for that million, as I mentioned earlier, and she's going to need to do pretty well the rest of the season, but she has a realistic shot at it.
Yeah, she's about $60-something thousand short of the $1 million mark, and with, what do we have, 12, 13 events left, it's within her reach, but you're right, she has to bowl very well, as she did right here on this shot.
Same as the last. This one a little bit lighter, though. Headpin coming off the wall, taking out the 10.
All right, 4 strikes with a little spare in between for Aleta Sill. She's up by 24. We'll be back with more. But first, these messages. Carol Gianotti's maximum score is 244. She's working on a double.
Whoa.
Well, she's found it. She's where she wants to be. Look at the sly smile on her face.
She knows she got away with one a little bit. This ball drove pretty hard. She could have ended up with a split there. Look at headpin tripping out the 4 and 7.
That came up high. But she'll take a little luck. Cross over to number 15. There you see the score. It's now 14. At one point it was 35. See, now that looked right to me, but it was just light.
No, that's a result of her coming that little bit high. Doesn't want to punch the nose and make a big mistake. That ball, she sent that ball a little farther right, slid a little longer, 2-5. Needs to cover both pins, and this spare, I saw it chopped many times this week.
And she immediately made a little adjustment on her thumb tape, or what was on her thumb, converted this spare, so off the 3 strikes, it is a spare, and now it is 16 pins, the difference between Aleta Sill and Carol Gianotti-Block.
Another close match, but Aleta can increase it to 26 here if she continues to strike.
Now she has 4 strikes already in this game. 3 were in a row, then there was a spare. Now she's working on the strike, and the 7, this is the 8th, and she's got 2 in a row. She's requesting some sort of change.
Yeah, she's saying that the crowd is clapping too soon. They're anxious and they want to help her out here, and I think they might be catching her just a little bit before she releases the ball.
And that certainly can be, just the noise can make you startle, and you don't want to be doing any kind of muscle reaction with a loud noise. All right, there's the maximum score for Aleta Sill, 258, but it's knock them all down to get that.
Well, that second Triple Crown victory she talked about that was so special to her was just a few weeks ago at the U.S. Open. With shots just like that.
And, you know, and being the only man or woman to do that, that's really incredible.
And if you're wondering what events those are, it's the Queens, the Samsung Invitational, and the EPA US Open. Correct. She's won them all twice.
Carol Gianotti comes up a little light, leaving the 610.
Actually hitting the nose on that shot, but she's going to try to just convert her spare here, but there's not a lot she can do at this point.
Well, the satellite pagers may be having a little bit of problems with their communications, but Carol Gianotti-Block will have no trouble communicating with her family in the land down under. She has a special message.
Yeah, I'm going home next week for 4 weeks back to Australia. I'm really looking forward to it. But there's one thing I want to wish my two little nieces, Michelle and Megan, all the best, and I'll see you soon.
And those two little nieces are 4 and 2 years old, and she's able to deliver that message courtesy ESPN and its satellite, which thankfully is floating very well in the sky.
Well, another 10-pin for Carol. And like she said, hey, I'm happy to be here, fortunate. She honestly didn't think she'd make the show this week, which is very rare for her. So I think she's going to be accepting of the 5th place finish.
You know, she said she was just happy to be here. Anything that happens, as far as she's concerned, was simply gravy. She wasn't bowling well, and she was just really glad to come up as high as she did. So with the 3 spares to close things out for her, she finishes 5th. A little step down from 4th.
Well, she's excited to be heading home.
It's a 199 for her. Aleta Sill now moves 1 step closer to her 30th title. Not quite with what the shot she wanted to, but she still has this victory cleanly in hand as she moves up the ladder. Now, the St. Louis Arch is the most famous landmark in the Gateway City. You can take a tram ride inside the structure and journey 630 feet above the St. Louis River. Fairview Heights, Illinois is just across the bridge from the Arch, and we'll be back to the St. Clair Bowl after this. Welcome back. Number 5, Aleta Sill, shaking hands with number 3, Tish Johnson, as she works her way up the ladder. Aleta defeated Carol Gianotti-Block by a final score of 223 to 199. She steps up on lane number 15. And there you see 4 strikes for her on 15. This is definitely her favorite lane.
Right, and Tish is going to force her to finish on 16, where she's only had 2 strikes. So it could be a good strategy for Tish.
Good shots. Northridge, California's Tish Johnson, also a lefty, 18th year as a pro. 1992 and 95 Bowler of the Year. You know, in high school, she was an All-American in basketball, and it was a knee injury that knocked her off the basketball court. Come on!
A lot of the ladies out here are athletes, Leandra, and they've played many other sports in their careers, and really chose bowling, sometimes because of an injury, but most often because it's their passion.
And it was a way to make money as a professional athlete. I mean, right now we have professional women's basketball, but 18 years ago it was golf or tennis or bowling.
You're right.
That was it.
That's a good point. And a lot of these ladies have been out here all that amount of time, 18, 19 years.
Of course, Tish Johnson loves to golf, but she's not quite professional ranks in that sport. And once again, you can hear her. She's wearing a microphone. Oh, that was close, but we're seeing those 6 and 10s stay put. Those lefties are leaving the 6s.
Actually, that corner pin that time, that 7 pin she left up.
7.
Yeah.
7
on the left side of the lane, though. And this is one of the things Tish said she struggled with yesterday with carrying. She could get to the pocket with any ball, but really couldn't carry. She was going to bring 20 balls out here to the pair tonight and try and find what carried the best.
You know, we were talking about leaving the 7s and the 10s. Aleta Sill left the 7 one time on lane 15, and she left it twice on lane 16. And there you saw her average. Well, it's not the 7.
Yeah, that was a bad shot. She pulled that right of target. It was right all the way. Fortunate she pulled it enough to get to the right side or the Brooklyn side of the head pin for her, leaving just the 4 pin to spare. And she moves to the right side of the approach to shoot her left-hand spare. There's a right-hander would go to the left side to shoot right-hand spares.
Do you know where to align when you have to pick up a spare? If you don't, why don't you write in to Ask the Pros? They'll answer any questions, not just how to convert a spare. 7171 Cherryvale Boulevard, that's in Rockford, Illinois, 61112. Professional Women's Bowling Association in Rockford. Ask them any question you want, and they will answer you, if they can.
Right, definitely. Write to us. We'll try to give you some answers, maybe some of them on the air.
Although, Jan, I know you answer a lot of questions right here on the air, I was going to say. Oh, boy, that was a tumble down.
A light mixer. Taking out the 10 pin at the last minute.
Hi, Dad.
This ball coming in really light on the head pin. The head pin off the wall, and it's actually, again, the head pin taking out the 10 pin.
That was the back end of the head pin. Oh, it's... Come on! No. That is ugly. That is ugly.
That's a tough break. Many of them left this week. A little bit of longer conditioner. The ball breaking late. Because of the angle it's coming in, the 7 and 10 are left. There probably weren't too many players that didn't leave at least one of these this week.
Now she went for the outside of the 10, trying to kick it over to the 7.
Yeah, she meant to get 1 pin there, though,
Yeah.
because it's very rare that anyone picks up the 7-10.
Right.
So she wanted to get 1.
I just jumped off a little early, so she has an open frame in the 3rd, so it's strike, spare, open frame for Tish Johnson, and now she's in a 14-pin hole.
And as I mentioned at the top of the show, up and down this year, she said, there's a great new, she's on Columbia staff, great new line of equipment, but she's working with learning the new equipment and learning what's the best way to drill it for her game and for the patterns we have out, because
Yeah, I
another
left
thing...
everything now.
Whoop.
I've left everything now.
Okay. Well, then she's done and ready to strike. Yeah, so getting back to that, she's learning what way to drill the balls for her and for the patterns that we're working on right now, because we have different lane men doing their lanes than were in the past, and so the players have to learn that, just like anybody else would at home when they change your house shot for you.
You know, something else we should bring up. You saw the average for Tish before, 210 on this TV pair. There you see the high and the low gains, 289 to 169. You know, why are things different? Well, obviously, lane conditions are one factor, but we should remind people that the television lights factor into this. And the longer these women stay out here, you know, the hotter the lights get, they dry up the oil on the lanes, and things are a little different. And it's yet another factor you have to adjust to when you bowl.
That's a good point. Leandra on the TV shows, and Aleta almost leaving the 7-10. Fortunate to just leave the 7. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to comment about Aleta, and we talked about her ball speed. And she said she struggled in all of the night blocks, as she always does, because she can't throw hard enough as the front part of the lane starts to dry up. So she said, actually, it's an advantage to her, the TV show format, because there's only 5 games. But I was wondering, with the heat of the lights and with 3 left-handers, if it breaks down, what is it going to do to her? You know, could affect her a lot today.
Now, look at the titles. Lisa Wagner, as we said, holds the record at 30. 2 of our bowlers tonight, and they're on the floor right now. Aleta Sill with 29, going to tie Lisa Wagner. And Tish Johnson is right in her shadow with 22 titles.
Well, Patty Costello also should be on that list, but she's no longer active. She has 27 titles. Who knows? Maybe she'll come out of retirement and try to fight for that title.
And she's only got to hit a few more. Love to see that. And Aleta Sill, love to see that. She has gone strike, spare, strike, spare, strike. So it's off, on, off, on, off, on. Working on a spare in the 4th frame. She left to the 7.
Eventually go down, hopefully.
She said, just hit the pocket, they'll eventually go down, hopefully. And really, that's what she told us yesterday. She's just, right now, trying to hit the pocket and find a way to carry it.
Found the pocket.
It ain't over till it's over. Come on.
So Tish Johnson, who is bowling with a mission, said she wants to dedicate this show to someone special.
Well, my dad was in a car accident, and he got seriously injured. And he wanted me to win Queens, because that would have been for my Triple Crown. And I didn't bowl very well. And so, Dad, this one's for you, hopefully. And get well soon.
And we would like to share those sentiments. We also hope that he gets well soon. I have to add to Tish Johnson's tragedy, though, in addition to her dad having that terrible automobile accident, her mom then fell and injured her wrist and was in a cast. So poor Tish Johnson is going to be nursemaid over the summer break. And we're going to step aside. It's 2 strikes for Tish Johnson. Aleta Sill is working on 1, and we'll have the details when we come back. I said this is the final stop of the spring season, but that's not the end of bowling. This summer, the PWBA continues, beginning with the Lehigh Valley Classic in Allentown, followed by the Southern Virginia Open in Danville, Virginia. Then it's Chattanooga, Tennessee from July 26th to 30th, and the Lady Ebonite Classic in Kentucky, August 1st through August 5th. Now, all of those events will be seen on ESPN. You'll have to check your local listings to see the time and date that those events will be brought to you. And the summer season will wrap up with the Clabber Greater Terre Haute Open, Terre Haute, Indiana, 9th through 13th. And then we'll go to Rockford, Illinois. That's your neck of the woods, Jan Schmidt, for the Hammer Players Championship, August 15th through 20th. And again, those 2 events will also be on ESPN. Check your local listings.
Aleta shoots the 7-pin on lane 16. It's been 3 9 counts on 16, 3 strikes on 15. Tish Johnson had the right strategy here because Aleta Sill's going to have to finish on 16. If it comes down to it, she hasn't struck yet on that lane. This game. She had 2 strikes last game, but not this game.
Not this time.
Are you talking to me?
And she gets the strike over on 15.
She's dead-eye on 15, no problem.
And now Tish Johnson is up. She is working on a double.
Tish is actually not only going to help take care of her parents, she's also going to run her dad's business over the break, who runs steamers, has steamers in restaurants, so she's going to help work with that.
She said she's done before. She picks up the triple. You know, something else we should mention. She is not the only person out here with an ill parent.
Let's take a look quick at Tish's shot. This giving her a 3-bagger, dead flush. No problem with carry there. As you started to mention, Carol Norman had to leave this week and didn't bowl the tournament. She had a phone call that her mother was very ill, Loretta, and she's recovering from surgery, so we want to wish her well.
Very hard to stay focused when things are in trouble at home. It's rolling over, but it missed. So the 3-bagger ends with a 9 on lane 15 for Tish Johnson.
I'll tell you, it is tough, and that's a good point you make, Leandra, as far as trying to stay focused. So many things happen. In fact, Jeannie Nacarado, if you're wondering where she's at, she didn't bowl this swing because her father passed away. So it's a difficult situation.
Now, this was after the 3-bagger.
There's the head pin off the wall. Watch it.
It's coming over.
It's going to roll around.
It's only going to point to it. Tish is trying to use the body English to get it to go, trying to jump, but the boards don't shake. Well, she'd like to march down there and kick that pin over.
Yeah, it was a good effort, I'll tell you.
Aleta Sill is working on a strike in the 7th. Down by 5. 82 television appearances. Wow.
Quite a winning record there, too. 79 and 58. That's a good television record.
Oh, at the end, it goes down. I think she's been on TV more than Dan Rather. All right, there are our career money leaders. Aleta Sill on top, as you can see. We talked about that she's very close to the $1 million mark. Tish Johnson not far away. And then it is Lisa Wagner and Marie Dugan, who's sitting next to us in the booth doing our score. So there's some big dollars floating around in women's bowling, and they are surrounding us here this evening. Maximum score for Aleta Sill, 240 if she punches out.
That would be enough to take care of Tish Johnson.
She's on her way. A 3-bagger. Tish Johnson up, working on a spare in the 8th.
No, it's not over till it's over.
Not not over till it's over. She's not giving up here. That's what she just said. She's going to keep trying. Anything can happen.
Keep the pressure on. Come over, and again, ooh.
That was close, though.
That was closer than the last time. At least it touched it.
Yeah, it touched it. Messenger's falling a little bit short for Tish. Always playing to the crowd, letting them know. Ooh, almost got that one. Crowd loves her out at the tournaments because she does relate to them, and they enjoy that. They feel like they're a part of the action.
She had a quick sense of humor. All gone. Got a real sharp tongue. There you see the numbers down by 16 as she moves over to lane 15 in the 10th frame. She had something going at 5, 6, and 7 with the 3 strikes, but the 2 spares.
Well, she could still strike out here for 214 if she would strike out. So she could still force Aleta to mark.
She's doing her best. She's acting stunned here.
She's going for it. Tell you, it's enjoyable to watch these ladies. It's enjoyable to bowl with them also.
Well, she knows what a competitor Aleta Sill is, and she said, "Great, I start bowling strikes when it's over." Well, technically, it's not over, but she knows what a great bowler Aleta Sill is, and it certainly within her reach. Well, there's 2. She's not making it easy.
Well, I think she believes it's over, but I'm looking at the score here, and Aleta will need a mark. So, Aleta's lined up hitting the pocket, but as I mentioned, now she's only struck once this game on lane 16, so a mark is not a given.
And the pressure is on. It's a 214 for Tish Johnson, and Aleta Sill has stepped up and decided to re-rack them. She was sitting there studying the pins on lane 16 and said something's not right, and she can exercise that option. She hasn't exercised it yet. First time.
Exactly. She gets 2 chances. She can have 2 free re-racks each game on the television, in the television show. If she wants additionals, Rick Ramsey, our tournament director, would have to grant them. But since she's only carried once this game on this lane, she must have something a little off with the rack there.
Well, there's the mark that she needed. And Aleta Sill seems to have number 30 in the crosshairs.
She looks tough, and if the pattern holds up for her, which is what I was concerned about, if it starts to break down and she starts to feel like she has to throw hard, she'll get in trouble. But as long as the oil pattern holds up, she's going to be tough.
$2,800 for Tish Johnson and a 4th place finish. Aleta Sill keeps sending everybody down. Well, she got a couple of marks here. She got the strike she needed on 16. And then some.
Here she found out the trick to carrying on 16.
5 in a row. What a way to go. 6 in a row. Her maximum score at one point we said was 240. She got it. 240 to 214. We had control of the Budweiser blimp, and we sent it over the Gateway International Raceway. It's one of the most versatile motor sportsways in the world. It opened its doors 1 year ago and is home to the Motorola 300 kart auto race. And we're getting closer to our checkered flag here at the St. Clair Classic, so don't go away. Welcome back to the St. Clair Classic. It's time to look at the other top finishers, and we begin with a handful of women who have been on television before. Karen Stroud, Liz Johnson, and Carolyn Doran-Ballard. Very close to making yet another TV appearance, but just missed the cut.
Kim Kennedy in her 5th top 10 finish this year, finishing up 10th. And Debbie McMullen, 2nd week in a row, she's had a pop at the television show.
Leanne Barrett in the number 16 position, and Kendra Cameron, 2 women who have been on television. Barrett already won in Atlanta. Kendra Cameron's been on TV many times and a winner.
Anne Marie Dugan is the bowler of the year in 94, and she's doing our stats this week. Sandra Jo Odom, 97 Queens champion.
And take a look at Jennifer Swanson, Rachel Perez, and Michelle Mullen. Michelle Mullen, rounding out our top 24, she and Don Moyer run a series of clinics under their highly acclaimed Business Professional Bowlers Instruction. And that might be something you want to write to the PWBA about, because everybody loves that instructional clinic. Our next match, Aleta Sill and Kim Adler. Aleta Sill 2 wins away from her 30th title. Can she do it? Kim Adler says, I don't think so. We'll get the answer when we come back. Our second righty of the night is here, Kim Adler, going up against Aleta Sill. Again, Aleta Sill coming out of the number 5 position. Kim Adler, our number 2 qualifier. Sill is climbing the ladder with a vengeance.
She looks strong still, lane 15, still with 9 strikes, 16, only 6, and she struck out last game on 16 in the 10th. So 3 of those 6 came in that 10th frame.
She opens on 15. And the strike string ends. She had 6 in a row to strike out in that last game, but it stops here as she moves up to match number 3.
Yeah, the ball just coming a little high, leaving that 6 pin. Sometimes you'll trip it, sometimes you won't.
If you're just joining us, if Aleta Sill is able to win, she will tie the record held by Lisa Wagner of 30 professional titles. She currently has 29. She opens with a spare as we take our first look at Kim Adler, and she's the woman at the top of the show that you mentioned already bowled 300 this week. She calls Las Vegas her home now. An 8-year pro, the 1991 Rookie of the Year.
Kim's bowled quite a few 300s, 15 in her career.
In 1997, she bowled 300 3 times. She likes to do them in clusters. She's got the highest average now, 220.6. She had the best average, even better than Dede Davidson, our top qualifier. So this may be a very difficult obstacle for Aleta Sill to get past on her way to number 30.
In fact, on the 300s, Kim already has 3 this year in 1998. So she does throw. She's very consistent. When she gets lined up on a pair, she can strike.
Right in there, but number 10 won't go away.
And she's going to have the corner pin problem just like everyone else, but she'll figure out ways. She does a lot. You see her changing her wristband position there. She was breaking her wrist back. That particular wristband, she can move her wrist and it'll lock it in place. So now it's bent back. We call this a broken wrist position. That's to help her flatten out the ball so she doesn't hook the ball. When you cup your wrist more, you're going to hook the ball more. Still tries to rotate it, but it doesn't hook as much as it would have without changing the wrist position. This was the first shot that left the 10-pin, half pocket, 6-pin into the channel and just sits down.
Never came back to help her out. So now it's time for Aleta Sill to step up in the second frame. She is working on a spare, WIBC and Professional Women's Bowling Association Hall of Famer.
She's done virtually about everything you can do on tour.
Yep, and she's setting a standard now as she becomes the first woman to win $1 million. Obviously, that's a milestone no one else has attained, so she's doing things that have never been done before as well.
And she just started last year traveling in a motorhome. Something new for her.
Yes, she talked about that.
And she loves it. She, in fact, maybe using some of this money if she wins to go on and buy a new motorhome. She's already ordered one.
Again, here's the dollars and cents of all this. Aleta Sill on top there, $934,000. She'll not only just pick up the prize money that she gets tonight, but there's incentive money, and then we still have a dozen or so events left in 1998, so the $1 million mark most likely will be attained by this woman. It's funny. Here she's a $900,000 woman. That's a milestone. She's the first woman to get to $900,000, but it doesn't have the same ring as that $1 million mark.
Million always sounds good.
Although I'll take 900.
Well, she looked, kind of stared that pin down there again, leaving the 6-pin on lane 15. It appears it may be breaking down just a little bit. Ball driving a little bit harder, and she'll have to make a slight move on that lane.
And she converts it as spare strike spare as we look at Dick Weber in the house, PBA and ABC Hall of Famer.
He lives in this area, and class act, wonderful gentleman, and a great bowler.
And supports bowling, comes out when the good stuff's in town, and here he is. And Kim Adler's husband, Tommy Adler, is right there, and these two are really fitness nuts. They mountain bike, they lift weights, they run, they train and train and train, and look at Tommy Adler rubbing elbows with Dick Weber, trying to get a few pointers maybe for Kim.
He may be, you never know. You're right that they do a lot of conditioning. In fact, over the break, they're going to head out to Colorado to Breckenridge and do some bicycling and hopefully maybe find some snow left that they can snowboard on. So they do a lot. Kim's going to a health center to an ex-Olympic athlete who's going to work with her and hopefully train her.
She's already in great shape, but enjoys training and thinks it really helps her bowling, and I'd have to agree. She's bowling very well in 1998. This is her 4th television appearance. She finished 4th in Huntsville, 4th in Sebring, and tied for 3rd at the U.S. Open, and she's hoping for her first victory of 1998 here. Her last one was in Samstown in Memphis, Tennessee. The Memphis, Tennessee Samstown regional in 1997 PWBA event. She also won the Samstown in Las Vegas in 97. So 2 wins in 97, none in 98, but maybe she'll get one here tonight as Aleta Sill steps up. Spare, strike, spare sums up her first 3 frames. This match is even.
Best finish in 98. We mentioned it, the BPA U.S. Open, which capped off that double, triple crown for her. Again, the Queens Tournament, the BPA U.S. Open, and the Samstown Invitational. Samstown, a presenting sponsor for the tour, and has really come to bat for the ladies over the last 4 to 5 years.
To win, I mean, everybody would probably give their right arm to win one of those events once, and here she's won all 3 twice. No man or woman has ever done that before. This year it was in Milford, Connecticut.
This wonderful shot, ball driving so hard that it actually pushes the 5-pin straight back, doesn't take out the 9-pin. This is a result of the resin equipment. The balls drive hard. Some think that maybe heavier pins are a better answer for some of the professional or your higher average bowlers because you create a little more deflection with the bowling ball. Also, a lot of the players doing that with weight, going down to a lighter bowling ball so that they can get some deflection.
Want to make those pins fly. Action is so important. They can come back. So, $65,803 to hit that $1 million mark. $9,000 is the best she can do here tonight, not including incentives. But then there's some bigger prize money down the road as this tour moves into its summer and fall swing.
And her carry has suddenly changed now. She left 2 6-pins in a row on 15. She probably made a slight move right with her feet on the approach there and now left a 7-pin. So somewhere in between, hopefully she'll start carrying again for her. Kim waits on and says, okay, I'm going to have my chance here.
Doesn't watch, concentrates only on her own game. You know, a quick way for her to get to the $1 million mark is if she bowls a 300 on TV, because then MasterCard gives them that $50,000 bonus. And she'd be up there in a hurry.
She would.
So she told me she'll work on that.
Well, hey, you know, never know.
A 2-pin edge for Kim Adler, the Las Vegas, Nevada bowler, who's here with her husband, Tommy. She's got 40 balls in her arsenal. She's leaning more towards the 16-pound ball this week. She likes to use the 16, keeps it a little slower. Certain weeks, she said different balls work better, so sometimes a certain ball can get in your way, so she kind of likes the freedom of choice she has right now, not being committed to any one ball on the tour.
Right. She's not on the staff right now, and she chose that, and she feels this way, as conditions change week to week, she can choose what best brand of ball suits the condition. There's so much equipment out there nowadays, and it's changing so quickly. It's hard to stay up with it for all of us.
3rd time she has left the 10. 3rd time she's been able to convert. Twice on 15, one on 16. You said at the very beginning of this telecast the corners were hard to get this week, and they're staying hard this evening.
This is another lady that has already made a purchase last week, purchased a new Grand Cherokee.
That's right, she's got a new car.
She needs these dollars for that purchase, and Aleta going for it for her new motorhome. So one of these ladies will help pay for their purchase.
They're doing their part for the economy. When the Professional Women's Bowling Association comes to town, look out, auto dealers and motorhome dealers. And there she goes, her third strike of the game. Coming off a spare in the fifth, Kim Adler up by 1. And now here's a little known fact. When did Lisa Wagner win her 30th PWBA title? We'll be back with the answer and more in a moment. Aleta Sill trails by 1, working on a spare. We are now on the 6th frame, and she's on lane 16. Oh.
Okay. As I thought, I think they're starting to change for Aleta Sill. A lot of games now, a lot of practicing games on the left side of the lane. That's not something that's normal. They aren't used to that throughout their competition because we move across the entire house. So there may only be 1, maximum 2 games on a pair on the left side of the lane. So this is something different. She's going to get some carry down and some lanes breaking down on her here.
And she salvages the situation, and she now has yet another spare off of 1 strike way back in the 2nd frame, and then it's, the 4 spares in a row as she crosses over.
But she was in the pocket all the way along there, and I think maybe just made a slight move there to try to carry. And sometimes when you try to carry, you get in trouble as a result of it.
It's a good point you brought up about the left side of the lane in this house. There's 40-something lanes here at the St. Clair Bowl. So conditions do hold up for the Southpaws. But tonight with 3 left-handers and just working back and forth on 2 lanes, it's a little different. All right, Kim Adler is up in the 7th frame. Her maximum score, if she strikes all the way, is 249.
And the best Aleta Sill could do at this point would be 235. So Kim has pretty much controls her own destiny if she can keep striking. Again, the corner pins.
That's a 4th time for the 10. Kim Adler is really having a tough time with that corner.
Well, she's throwing a good game. She's in the pocket every shot. But 10 pin, but here's the lesson. Pick them up.
Yes, and she's doing that.
Extremely important. I know oftentimes it's frustrating when you continue to leave a corner pin, but if you miss any of them, it magnifies the entire problem. So if you can try to just convert all your spares.
Oh, you just spoke too soon. She's been converting all of them, and then she didn't.
She's had no problem. That ball hooked quite a bit on her.
The door is open now.
She broke her wrist back, but didn't get the ball right as far as she had been. I know she expected that ball to slide. Lanes are changing, condition breaking down, and that ball hooked on her. Maybe a little slow with her ball speed on that shot. She's checking the score now.
And it's not good news. She was in control of her own destiny, and now take a look. She now trails by 8 pins with this open frame in the 7th. The old pendulum coming back. So it really isn't over for either bowler.
No, it's a close match.
It's a very close match.
Well, she needs to shake that off and get right back on the strikes.
That one came up high, and she's lucky that one fell.
She went more direct, more toward the pocket, trying to, in an effort to kick the 10, changing her angle of entry into the pocket. Almost left the 4-9, though.
Now, that's the first time she has left the 9. 4 times she has left the 10. And that pretty much sums up her spares. Strike, knock down 9 and a spare. Strike, knock down 9 and a spare. Okay, we've kept you at bay long enough. Here is the answer to our little-known fact. When did Lisa Wagner win her 30th PWBA title? The year was 1996. The event, the WIBC Queens. What a way to set a record.
It was, and what a night that was for Lisa. I believe she was also proposed to that evening by Brian Biller.
All right, now we are looking at Aleta Sill, and she has seen this happen many times. She has been down and been able to come back if she can capitalize on this opportunity that has been handed her. This is a woman who came from the number 5 position, and now she has an opportunity to knock off the number 2 position. Not quite the resounding shot you want to have.
No, and right. The ball hooking early on her, coming up high. She's needing to make some transition here as the lanes make their changes. And she's trying to, and right now she's hoping to just stay clean, keep shooting her spares, and get through it as the lanes change, and maybe she'll be lined up for the last match if she defeats Kim.
Comes back and gets them both. So she marks in the 8th, still leads by 8. Both women with spares in the 8th, but the big difference is what happened in the 7th frame to Kim Adler. Now, Aleta crosses over to number 15.
And look at Kim just looking down, waiting for her chance. But as Aleta struggled last night, and all the nights, what she did going into the position round when she had a chance of falling out of the show, she went to a stronger ball, a ball that would hook up earlier and hook more, and she moved right and opened up on the lane, or in other words, looked left and threw left, let it come back, and it helped her to make the show. So we'll watch to see if she makes that move later on in this game, or maybe the next match if she goes on.
It's the second time she has left the 7. And you knew she wanted this one. Look at her face. Oh. The frustration.
And that's a lot of emotion out of Aleta Sill.
Yes.
She knew she needed to set up that 9th frame strike.
Now her lead has gone from 8 to 7.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wood. Hold on. Oh, my goodness. Did that hang out? Oh, you saw another relief there.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
There was trouble off her hand, dead left with that shot. Look at it.
How did that stay in there? My goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, look at that.
Oh. Now, had the ball grazed the channel first and popped back out, that spare wouldn't have counted. But since it hit the pin before it fell into the channel, it counts. Now, that was a crucial why she needed that strike, because now Kim's max score is 207. The best Aleta can shoot is 204, and not anymore. Not a 207, but
5 times now. Number 10 has stayed up
that
for
10
Kim Adler.
pin not going out for. Now the best she could shoot would be 196. So now she cannot shut out Aleta Sill. She needed that strike. She needed 3 strikes to shut her out.
This match very far from over.
Whoa.
Gets it this time, but barely. Look at her shaking her hand.
She took her wristband off. That's what she was trying to show us. That time she took the wristband off completely so that she had no lift behind the ball at all. In her wrist, she could just let it lay back. She used to do that. She always took her wristband off to shoot her right side spares, but since she's been able to break her wrist back with this wristband, she hasn't been removing it. But she's very versatile, does a lot of things with her hand position.
Well, that's also knowing your game. And as she probably said when she missed that one spare, I couldn't get my hand exactly where I wanted. I need a little more freedom.
Incredible, the number of 10 pins. And this was consistent throughout the week. I think everyone that bowled the tournament went through this type of a span where you just could not get the 10 pin out. Look at the ball, 6 pin, laying in the channel, half pocket. It just needs that one more rotation or one less even. Either way, and the 10 pin would be out. Again, on the left lane, she's leaving her wristband on to shoot the 10 pin. So the middle lane must be hooking more on lane 16.
Easily converts that.
Well, with the strike here, she can shoot
185?
Yeah. 185, which will force Aleta Sill to mark. Pin count's pretty important here.
Now,
much.
Aleta has marked every frame.
Right. You're right. That's a good point, but you still never know.
Oh, no, and look at the changing conditions. All right, so she at least puts that pressure on Aleta, does not go quietly into that good night with the strike. Now Aleta has to have a mark.
And Aleta's been on the nose. Both the last 2 times on lane 16 where she has to finish, she's hit the nose. She's been fortunate to break up a split.
Boy, this is a nail biter.
Big break on that one. The 2-7 was standing. The 7-pin fell out. 2-7 would have been a tough spare. She should have no problem shooting the 2-pin.
Should.
Careful with my choice of words.
Yes, should. And obviously she knows what she needs to do. All right, so now she only needs 2 pins to tie.
3
pins to win.
Exactly, and I think if I were her, I'd make a bit of a move and try to line something up because you're going to get 3 pins as long as you stay on the lane. So she'll probably try to figure out what she can do here.
Oh, it was a light touch, but she got more than what she needed as Kim Adler ends the night in 3rd position with $3,400. Now, just north of Fairview Heights, Illinois, are the famous Cahokia Mounds. This is the largest prehistoric Indian center in America. You're looking at the Monk's Mound. It is 10 stories high and encompasses 16 acres. But we are encompassing 2 humble bowling lanes just south of here, and we'll be back with more action right after this. Now it's time for the championship frame, and this championship frame could be for a record. By 24 pins, she defeated Gianotti-Block, that is Aleta Sill I'm speaking of, and then she ousted Tish Johnson by 26 pins, but then it was a close one against Kim Adler.
Aleta Sill needing this spare to win the match. She did what she did the whole game, stayed clean.
A beautiful job, and it squeaked out a 5-pin win in match number 3, and she has climbed the ladder. It is Aleta Sill in pursuit of her 30th title as she takes on the number 1 qualifier, Dede Davidson. This is it, Dede Davidson against Aleta Sill, coming out of the number 5 position. Aleta Sill has climbed the ladder. Dede Davidson said, "You are going to bowl first." Here is how she stacks up on the lanes: 10 strikes on 15, 7 on lane 16. You can see the spare story right next to it, and only 1 open frame, and that came on 16. A message. Nice way to start things off, especially after you bowled a 190 in the previous game.
Well, both these ladies with something to prove. Aleta wanting that 30th title, Dede wanting to win for the first time since 1993.
Her 14th year on tour. It's Aleta Sill's 19th year, so a couple of veterans going toe-to-toe. So far this year, Dede Davidson has been on TV twice before. She finished 4th both times. And she cleans the right side of the lane. And it's very tough coming into the television pair at the end because you're not really familiar with the conditions. Even though you get a couple of practice shots, it's still not the same as what Aleta knows about these 2 lanes and how they've been breaking down.
That's true, but Aleta's also having trouble on 16 right now, and Dede did the wise thing. Dede's going to get to finish on 15, which appears to be the better lane on the left side.
We do have 2 lefties going head-to-head here as she opens with a spare. And there you are looking at John and Nancy Summer. John is the PWBA chairman of the board, and he is in the house here in St. Louis. About how far of a drive is this from Rockford, Illinois?
Oh, a little under 4.5 hours. Not didn't take him.
A doable commute.
Right. It's great to see him show up at a tournament. Doesn't get to come out to very many of them. Has a lot of bowling centers he owns and operates back in Rockford.
And now Dede Davidson said, "You're right, Jan. 15's a better lane for us lefties. I'll prove it to you." A spare on 16, a strike on 15 as Aleta Sill who struck on 15, crosses over to 16. Now in match play, Aleta's already eliminated Dede Davidson, a very close match, but that doesn't matter now. It's a clean slate, and who wins here wins first place.
Even looking very serious here.
She always does, though. Now that's something rare, a strike on 16 this late in the day for the lefties.
She looks even more intense than I've seen her before, right at this point. I think in the beginning she, realistically, you know, you don't know if you're going to climb through the entire field.
Right.
But here she is. This is it. 10 frames to tie Lisa Wagner's record.
And in the early goings, she has a 10-pin advantage.
Good shot, but we call it a fast 8. Doesn't take out the 6 and 10. Ball driving just a little bit hard. Don't see it too often anymore. You might see it once in a block as you're bowling.
And it's funny because she said she doesn't, you know, throw hard because of the tendonitis in the arm. She has to be more creative.
Right, and a little bit more ball speed there. She probably wouldn't have the 6-10 standing.
Dede Davidson working on a strike on this pair. She's averaged 216. Very nice numbers on lanes 15 and 16.
Well, Dede, with that long dry spell, she sought out the help, or actually he offered her, but Dr. Gary Tapper and family in Sioux City, Iowa. He's a chiropractor and a hypnotist.
Now, this is a great story. Go on, Jan.
Right. He worked with her a week and a half ago and asked her, and she makes a good shot there, asked her how, what things stop her from winning, what she feels stops her from winning. And he hypnotized her, and he made a tape for her, and she listens to it every night. And when things start to go wrong, when she's bowling, she thinks about those things, and she said it's been such a relaxing and calming influence on her. And here she is a week and a half later, first time top seed since '93.
And she said she didn't expect that from Dr. Gary Tapper. She thought results had come further down the pike, and here she is, the #1 qualifier. And some of the things he put on that tape were things like, you will achieve, you are strong, stay relaxed. All those positive reinforcements that she needs to hear again and again and again.
And one big key was, don't worry about winning. And she said, the more I worry about winning, the more I lose. So she was going to, exactly, and there you see that last title again. She's going to try not to worry about winning. Also, she's put in a lot of practice, not as much of her last break as she wanted, but people at Corbin Bowl have been very hospitable in letting her come in and practice. She wanted to thank them also.
And well, she should, because if you can't get to the lanes and the lanes aren't available, you can't get the job done no matter what hypnotist or chiropractor you go to. So lots of credit due for all the support that helps all the women bowlers. Aleta Sill moving up with a spare in the third after 2 strikes.
Talk about how intense she is here, but it's a day away. She's going to go home, and this summer she plans to take some time off and go out on her boat, have a good time.
And a lovely way to send a message on lane 16. 3 strikes and a spare now. She has opened up an 8-pin edge over Dede Davidson.
You know, one of the things I like about Aleta, even though all of the things she's accomplished, she still talks about now how difficult it is to make shows, how difficult it is to make cuts. The talent out here is so great. The new players are so good coming out. And also the aspect of the game which she feels, you know, isn't as strong as it used to be, is having to know equipment as much as you used to have to, because many of the players have ball reps that assist you with that. And it really has changed the focus of the game.
So it's 2 in a row for Aleta. And you heard the big yeah out of her, and that's a different type of Aleta Sill now we're seeing in this championship match. She wants those 30 titles, and you can see it.
And look how great she's bowling it.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Aleta still, but looking down, Aleta's looking down, saying,
Just
okay.
Not going to worry about Dede.
Stay
I'm worried
in my
about
game.
Yep, worry about my game. In the 5th frame. Working on a strike. Now she's got 2.
She trails by 8 pins. She can take over the lead with one more strike.
Now you see both women with spares in the third frame and both women with 2 strikes in 4 and 5.
Dede, one of the players who's sponsored out here on tour, sponsored by Dan and Wanda Do It. She wants to definitely thank them for helping her be able to be out here on tour. A lot of the players do have sponsors and a lot don't.
Doing well this week, and it's 3 in a row, a turkey for Dede Davidson, and this one's far from over. Aleta Sill working on a double in lanes in frames 4 and 5, up on 16 in the 6th.
And an interesting angle on that one. Camera angle, I mean, but also a ball entry angle.
Yeah,
going on the nose, leaving the 4, 7, 10. She sets this ball down. She's been struggling on this lane. It looks like a good shot. Look at it just drive at the last second. She needs to move. She tried on her fill ball moving and it didn't get back.
Tried to get just the left side of the pin and only got 1 on her pin count, and now we have an open frame. And that was quite devastating to Kim Adler when she bowled against Aleta Sill in the last game. Let's see the impact it has here if she can recoup. Remember, Dede Davidson's got a 3-bagger as she heads into the 7th. Aleta Sill was working on a double. Now the open frame in 6.
Wow, what a huge change. And getting 1 pin on that split was critical, too. Lost 2 pins because she was on a strike, so she lost a pin in the 5th and in the 6th.
Now that is a competitor to come back and answer with a strike and get herself right back into the thick of things. Again, it's a 3-bagger for Dede Davidson.
Well, believe it or not, Dede leads by 19 pins now because of that split. She can increase it to 29 with 1 more strike.
And you can see the ball action as it comes right back in, goes into the pocket, and it's 4 in a row for Dede Davidson. We are in the 7th frame, and Dede Davidson leads by 29 pins with 4 in a row in the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th frame. For Aleta Sill, she opened the door by leaving a split in the 6th, only picking up 1 pin. And now there's trouble in paradise for Aleta Sill as she pursues title number 30.
Well, Dede Davidson likes the number 1 spot, she told us, as Aleta glances at the score. Not happy with it, obviously. As we said earlier, Dede won her last title from the number 1 spot. Very excited. When she finished last night, she threw her arms in the air, and so when she came to interview with us, it was cutely Andrew. She said, "I'm number 1."
And she was very happy about it. She's also going to her sister's wedding over the break, so she'll be one happy wedding party member. Yeah.
She's taking charge this week.
Having a good time here at the St. Clair Bowling Center here in St. Clair at the St. Clair Classic in Fairview Heights, Illinois. Now the maximum number, 241 for Aleta Sill if she punches out, working on a strike in the 7.
Okay, well, Dede's working on a 240 pace. Now, if she strikes out, obviously, it would be more. She could strike out for 270, but Dede on a 240 pace, so Aleta Sill can still have a chance here if she can continue to strike.
Came up high and leaves the left side.
Well, when I'm talking about, and she's going to try and convert the spares, I talked about max score and pace. Max score, as we said, is if they go off the sheet, in other words, throw all the rest strikes, it's the maximum they can shoot. When we talk about a professional bowler on pace, we assume 20 a frame or a par score of 200. So we're basically counting out 20 per frame after that for the pace that they're on, assuming they'll go strike, spare, strike, spare.
Yesterday I watched Dede Davidson lay down 8 in a row to open up one of her matches. And then she had an open frame in the 9th. So anything can happen here.
Well, Aleta really needed that strike in the 8th.
Let's see what she can do here at 15.
6 pin again, and unfortunately for Aleta, she had such a great shot, but we saw it last game. The lane started to change for her. Dede had no problem getting on him and lining up. In one frame, she was lined up.
And that's interesting because they are both left-handers. It's not like one's got an advantage on one side over the other. 2 lefties, both lining up, dealing with the same lanes.
But 2 completely different styles, and that can make
that's the difference. Oh, and now the open frame, and that's what Kim Adler did to her, and that's pretty much it.
That's basically it, right?
Unless things break down for Dede here. So, but I don't think there's even a no. Mathematically, it's over.
Yeah, she just needs to keep the ball in the lane, knock some pins down here. I mean, right now she has 180 if she doesn't throw another shot, but she's on a double, so she'll pick up pins.
Ooh.
Almost the 6-8. But
8 collapsed at the end there.
she doesn't have to worry about that at this point in time. And it is all over now because without throwing another shot,
So Aleta Sill, so close, so far away. Gets a little closer to the $1 million mark, but doesn't get that 30th title. And the drought has ended for Dede Davidson, her first win since 1993. We'll be back to talk with her as she wins the St. Clair Classic here in Fairview Heights, Illinois. The St. Clair Classic is being brought to you by AMF Bowling Worldwide, the largest owners and operators of bowling centers in the world and one of the leading makers of bowling products. AMF always means fun.
For the first time since 1993, Dede Davidson is our champion. And the only thing she's thinking right now is show me the trophy, show me the money. So let's bring in Matt Schellebarger with our trophy presentation. Matt?
Dede, on behalf of St. Clair Bowl and all the bowlers in the area, we'd like to congratulate you with your championship trophy.
Thank you.
It's been a long time coming.
Thank you very much.
He's the GM here at the St. Clair Bowl. Now let's go to the controller, and that's Phil Cameron with a check.
Congratulations, great job.
Thank you very much.
Dede, it's been a long time coming and tried everything, including hypnotists. How does it feel?
It feels wonderful. Thank you, Jan. It's good to be here. I'd like to thank the staff, Matt and Phil, for all their expertise help this week. I'd also like to say hi to my father. I hope you're doing better. Good luck to my sister for on her wedding this weekend. And it's about time I'm here.
Well, congratulations. It's good to have you back. Our congratulations to Dede Davidson. She defeated Aleta Sill, who climbed so courageously up the ladder. For Jan Schmidt, I'm Leandra Rye, reminding you that ESPN returns with women's bowling this summer at the Lehigh Valley Classic in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Be sure to check your local listings for when it's going to be seen in your area. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.